It's Ash from Super Videos back for another live stream discussion for The Walking Dead. This is going to be a live discussion for the second and third episode of Season 9. So it's after watching Season 9 Episode 2, which was called The Bridge, going into Season 9 Episode 3 called Warning Signs. Now, this is not a Q&A live stream, as I've said before. Of course, you can ask questions, but we're going to focus more on the events of the last episode going into the next episode. And it's going to be more or less a discussion about what we might essentially see going into the third episode, and basically getting some of your guys' opinions and, getting some predictions going in terms of what we might see in the next episode. The big question on everyone's mind is who killed Justin, and I think that's what I titled this live stream as well. And the big question is who's killing not only Justin but the Saviors, and how are the Saviors going missing? There are basically two main theories going around. I did two separate videos on both of them, so you guys can go and check that out after the stream if you want, if you're interested. But definitely very interested to know your guys' opinions and your theories as well. That's what this live stream is about. It's about sharing your opinions and your theories and to get a conversation going in terms of predicting what we might see. Going into the chat, Epic Zombie Killer, hey Ash, did you hear about the ratings going up a bit? Yeah, I did hear that. I think the first episode was definitely an exception. I think this season will see some great ratings. I don't know what happened in the first episode, honestly, but I feel like the ratings will go up. And I think that's just a sign for what I just said. The ratings will eventually go up this season, and, in the next episode or the next episode after that, we will definitely see a jump in the ratings. Epic Zombie Killer, I think a Whisperer killed Justin. That's definitely one of the theories as well, but it's very, very, very unlikely. There are a few reasons why. One is that it seems like there's going to be another time skip, a second time skip, after the events of episode 5, which is potentially or rumored to be Rick's last episode. So if there's going to be a huge time jump then it doesn't make sense for them to bring in some of the stories with the Whispers now, because there is going to be no interaction, it seems like, between Rick and the Whispers. So because of that kind of adds to the theory not being that likely to happen. And the other thing is that Justin was not only knew the person that killed him, but he was friendly with the person. Now you might say that there was a Whisper there with a mask on, or you know what I mean for comic readers. I don't want to reveal too much, but that's also a bit tricky because it just doesn't really make sense. You know what I mean? It's very, very likely for whoever killed him to be either an Oceanside member, as I've kind of talked about in my other video, or it could be one of the other Saviors, Mud specifically, that Savior with the beard. So these are the two main theories going around. One is that it's either Cindy or another member of the Oceanside that did that. And the other theory is that it could be the Saviors. Both are very, very likely to happen. They have equal chance of being what actually happens, or how they actually reveal who killed him. It could be both of them. That's what I mean. I put that in a very bad way, but it could be both of them. That's what I'm trying to say. Epic Zombie Killer, I feel Rick will leave then return later. Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. I don't want to see that, honestly, because I don't think an open-ended story for Rick would work. And I think it does more damage than good. So I hope that's not the case. Not saying that I don't want Rick back. I definitely want Rick back. But the idea is that, is it going to damage the story? And I think it definitely will. Epic Zombie Killer, but then again, there are photos of Justin as a walker. Yeah, there's actually a sneak peek of the next episode, which is the first few minutes, showing that Justin has died and turned into a walker. AMC released that. That's official. So it's not really a spoiler. They officially released it, which does take away from that cliffhanger. What was the point of the cliffhanger if you're just going to reveal it in the first few minutes of the next episode? And specifically, or especially when you're going to release it early like this, after the episode airs. Why would you do that? You know what I mean? It just takes away from that cliffhanger a bit. Epic Zombie Killer, a cool plot twist. What if it was Negan who killed him? Just an idea. There are some issues with that as well. One is Negan is still in his cell, and it doesn't seem like they're playing with time. So it seems like he's still in his cell. And the other reason is that wouldn't Justin be more shocked to see Negan? Or to see Negan out? He didn't seem that shocked about the person he was seeing. So because of those two reasons, I'm hesitant to say that that's the case. It's very unlikely for that to be the case. But that's definitely a theory as well. It's just that it's unlikely. Aside from that bit of the story, which is what we're really concentrating on here, who do you think is kidnapping the Saviors, essentially? Like, the Saviors are going missing. Aside from Justin getting killed in the last episode, we do have other Saviors going missing. So, what's that all about? You know what I mean? Could those two events be related? I think so. I think all the Saviors that are missing could potentially be dead or turn up dead. But there's also a chance that they are just creating their own group outside of the sanctuary. And they're kind of their own separate group. And they are basically navigating at the area, monitoring the area, and stealing the supplies that the survivors are carrying around. Maybe even doing that to the Saviors, other Saviors who are loyal to Rick and the others as well. So I think that those are definitely two plot points that are going to be major in the next episode. Epic Zombie Killer, I feel Aaron is definitely Comic Rick. He has Comic Rick's visual look down to the teeth, but he is not exactly Comic Rick in terms of the stories that are going to be coming up for Rick. They're not going to give Rick's comic stories to Aaron in the show. They're just going to have Aaron look like Rick from the comics. That's all it is. Epic Zombie Killer, I felt bad for Aaron in episode 2. That must have been extremely painful. Yeah, definitely. And like I've said before, if that wasn't spoiled for me by someone in the last live stream that we did, I would have been super shocked by that. But because it was spoiled for me, it took away from the shock value. Animated Alex, I like when Rick was threatening Justin about him being a cop. Yeah, I absolutely enjoyed that. That has to be my favorite Rick line in season 9 so far. When he says, "If I see you here again, stitches won't fix what I do to you." That's just an epic line. That's just a badass line to say. So that's my favorite Rick line so far. And if it stays this way, it might be one of my favorite Rick lines in the entire series. Of course, Rick is going to go away very soon, so it might eventually or essentially become one of the top 5 favorite lines that I have for Rick in the series altogether. Animated Alex, sucks, he'll be gone. Yeah, I don't even want to think about it. I know we're getting very, very close to that now, just a couple more weeks, but yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. And the more I think of it, the more I just don't know what to say. I don't know how this story is going to continue without him. But like I've said before, I'm not going to stop watching. I'll continue watching. I'll continue doing what I'm doing. It's just that I'm afraid the story might not be as exciting or interesting without him. Of course, they could do something that blows our minds, and they might do something with the story where we don't even really notice Rick being gone or Rick not being part of the story. That would be the best scenario. That would be the absolute best thing that could happen. But I'm afraid that might not be feasible. Epic Zombie Killer, I also loved the line from Negan when he mentioned Carl and Rick was like, don't ever mention his name. Yeah, I absolutely enjoyed that as well. I think that was one of the few moments where Rick gets really irritated with Negan to a degree, or to a point where he could just lose himself and attack him and just put him down. We've never seen Rick really be that, or be pissed off or irritated at Negan to that degree. We've seen him at that point, or we've seen him go there when he's talking to other villains, when he was talking to other villains in the previous seasons, like the Governor, like Gareth, like the others, but he hasn't really been doing that to Negan. When we had Negan and Rick together previously, even at times where Rick was really pissed off at Negan, it didn't have the same impact as it did this time. This time it felt like Rick was legit going to open the cell and, for lack of a better way to say it, bite Negan's throat out the same way he did to Joe. So I feel like, we haven't really seen that side of Rick when talking to Negan so far. And that was one of the few moments where we did see that. So that was absolutely epic. Animated Alex, Aaron doesn't work as a main character. Yeah, Aaron does not work as a main character. You're absolutely right. And I don't think that him getting Rick's comic book losing of the hand story is the equivalent or means that Rick will give his story to Aaron, like I said. I don't think that's the case. I think that Aaron is only going to get Rick's visual look from the comics in terms of losing the hand and having the long beard and maybe even getting a cane. I've said this before, I don't want him to get the mechanical hand because I feel like that should be unique to Rick in the comics. And they already did that with Merle as well. So it would be a complete replication, or not replication, but repetition of the story if they do that exact thing with Aaron. So I hope they don't do that. Animated Alex, it felt like how he was talking to Gareth. Yeah, absolutely, I agree with that. I had same kind of, it felt the same as when Rick was talking to Gareth and he said, I already made you a promise. That moment when he attacked the cannibals, the hunters, the termites, and killed them at the church. His interaction with the other character was the same as when he interacted with Negan here. It felt like there was a lot of similarities between those two moments. Epic Zombie Killer, yeah, also felt like Rick was being cocky and rubbing it in Negan's face. He was not only rubbing it in Negan's face, he was bragging about it as well. And he was basically saying that, you said this wasn't going to happen. You were wrong. I was right. Basically trying to show that he was right about it. And that they can rise and be a big community, a surviving community, even go to a point where they are rebuilding civilization and they don't need Negan to do that. So I completely agree with you there. Animated Alex, we have forgotten a character lose a limb since Merle. Or we haven't gotten a character lose his limb since Merle. That's not true because Herschel did lose his leg. And yeah, I think that was the only other one. But yeah, just those two. Merle losing his hand and Herschel losing his leg. And that was it. what I'm also very excited to see in the next episode is how Maggie is going to react to those roadblocks from the Saviors. Of course, she doesn't have any good memories of being stopped in the middle of the road by the Saviors. The last time that happened was events that eventually led to Glenn's death. So I'm sure Maggie is going to react to that in a very interesting way. So I'm very interested to see how that's going to go. Animated Alex, I love how walkers are a threat again. Absolutely, and I think the more we get into the Whisper story arc, we still haven't got into that for, really, but the more we get into that the more we get into that, the more we will see the walkers become more of a threat and become more of a significant part of the story. Much like what happened during No Way Out, but this time it's going to feel different. You comic readers, you know what I mean. For people who know the Whisperers, you know what I'm talking about. But I feel like that change is going to feel fresh and make it exciting and interesting. And it's going to have some vibes from No Way Out, but also have other fresh material as well, or add some fresh material to the story as well. Make it feel fresh and make it so that it's not a complete repetition of No Way Out. But there are definitely a lot of similarities between the Whisperer story arc and No Way Out. Epic Zombie Killer, hey Ash, why do you think Carol keeps shutting down Ezekiel's proposal? I feel she doesn't want to because whenever you're in a relationship, whenever you're in a relationship, die or person closest to her. Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. She doesn't want to commit to a relationship because she feels that that's a commitment to that character, and the bond between those two characters is built to a point where if she loses Ezekiel, it's going to hit her very, very hard. You know what I mean? So I think she's afraid of committing to it because she knows that if she commits to it and if something happens to Ezekiel, which is something that may eventually happen to everyone in this world, or is very likely to happen to anyone in this world, she will be heartbroken and it will hit her very hard. And maybe she doesn't know if she's going to be able to overcome it this time around. And one other thing I do want to mention about Carol and Ezekiel is that Carol is kind of saying yes by not really saying yes when Ezekiel proposes. And that's kind of weird or interesting because it has a lot of similarities to what Ezekiel was saying in the previous season when he told Carol, maybe you can go and not go when she wanted to leave the kingdom. Or was it season 7? I think it was during season 7. When Carol wanted to leave Ezekiel and the kingdom, Ezekiel told her, maybe you can go and not go. And I feel like what Carol is doing by not really saying yes, but actually saying yes, has a lot of connections to what Ezekiel said as well. So that's also very interesting. Epic Zombie Killer, hey Ash, what's the possibility of Ezekiel dying this season? It's definitely possible, but I feel like they are setting up one of these 3 characters dying this season by the hands of the new villains that are going to be introduced. I don't think that they will kill all of them or 2 of them. I think they're just going to pick one. They're building it up so that any one of them has the same chance of getting killed. These three are Ezekiel, Carol, and Jerry. So I feel like they're doing the same sort of thing with both of them, because for Ezekiel, they're building the connection or the relationship between Ezekiel and Carol. And for Jerry, he of course has found a new girlfriend, and you know, we do see them together, so they are building that. Jerry's a fan favorite, Carol is a fan favorite, so there are a lot of parallel, I guess, connections between these two characters, Carol, or these four characters, Carol, Carol, Ezekiel, and Jerry, or three characters, sorry. And I think that they are making it so that any of them has the chance of dying this season. Epic Zombie Killer, hey Ash, do you think Ezekiel thinks of Shiva? Even though I understand why he doesn't mention her, because it's too painful. Yeah, I think he definitely still thinks about Shiva. It's just that it's been a long time since the events of her death. It's been like 2 years, right? And I feel like he's thinking of the future and not really about the past. He's always been about that. He's always thought about the future. He's always tried to move forward and not really look at the past and let the past define him or make him or alter his decisions or make him emotional or things along those lines. You know what I mean? So I feel like Ezekiel is definitely thinking of Shiva. It's just that it's just been a long time, and Ezekiel has always been the type of guy that doesn't let the past define what he does in the future. And I think that's also a part of it as well. Epic Zombie Killer, just saying, I'm sure Ezekiel misses her like crazy. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure Ezekiel misses Shiva the same way, or not the same way, but misses Ezekiel way or a lot, but then there are other characters as well. I'm sure he feels some sort of, or he thinks about Richard as well. He thinks about Ben as well. Ben was the kid that died, that got shot by Jared. So I'm sure he thinks about all of those characters. And specifically, Shiva, that's probably the one that hits closest to him and the one he probably gets the most emotional about talking about or thinking about. But it's not just Shiva. Most likely not just Shiva. Okay, we are 28 minutes in, so we'll go for 5 more minutes of rapid fire comments or Q&A, and that'll be the end of the stream. There weren't too many people joining us today, which is fine, but I just don't want to drag this too long and, you know, keep going, because then you guys get bored and the quality of the video will go down. So I'll just try to keep it for like 30 minutes. So we'll go for 5 more minutes of rapid fire comments and questions if you have any questions, and that'll be basically the end of the stream. But as we're waiting for more questions and comments during the last 5 minutes, I do want to let you guys something. Stay tuned for some videos coming up in the next couple of days. I do have, let me see, I think, 4 videos lined up that I will be releasing, I will be releasing in the next couple of days. Some of them are related to Rick and his story. Some of them are related to the Whispers, and there's just some videos that I've lined up in the next couple of days. So stay tuned for those, and also make sure to like and follow the Facebook page of the channel and press the bell button on the channel so that you are updated about new videos being released and you get a notification for that and reminders. So definitely do that if you want to be reminded or notified about new uploads. But stay tuned for these couple or 4 videos in the next couple of days. And also obviously on Friday night, we're going to have our usual Friday night live stream Q&A at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. And Friday at 1 p.m. Mountain Time is going to be a secondary or an additional Q&A as well. So we have those coming up as well. Epic Zombie Killer. So Ash, when do you see them introducing Alpha? When will Samantha Morton appear? That's a great question. That's one of the videos I'm going to be releasing and really diving more in detail about. So stay tuned for that. I will be doing a video. But just to answer your question very quickly, in the second half. Most likely during episode 10 or 11. Somewhere around there. Because it was then when it was revealed that those 2 actors are cast for Alpha, or 3 characters are cast for Alpha, Beta, and Lydia. And that's when we got the photo of them building, in a way, the mask for Beta, the Beta character. Ryan Hurst was, of course, in the makeup chair, and they were molding the mask for him. So that's when the picture was released. It was when they were filming either episode 10, 11, or 12, somewhere around there. Epic Zombie Killer, remember in the trailer when we saw someone getting devoured by walkers? I thought it was Xavier Justin who was getting eaten. It was actually him. If you take a look at the first few minutes of the next episode, you see the exact same scene. So it was Justin. All right, we'll go for 3 more minutes of rapid fire questions and comments. Epic Zombie Killer, but yeah, when do you see Ryan Hurst, aka Beta, appearing? Around the same time. Both of those, Beta and Alpha, I feel like they're going to be introduced around the same time. Not in the same episode, not at the same time, but around the same time. But I will definitely dive more in detail about that in the other video I'm doing, because what I'm going to do is actually go back to the source material, take a look at when the Whispers were first introduced and how they were introduced, and kind of think about what we see in the trailer and or the trailer for the season, and also look at the dates for when all of those characters were set, or not set to, but were announced to be cast for those characters. And I will take all of that and make a prediction about when I think, essentially, when we're gonna see those characters. Epic Zombie Killer, so early 2019 is when they will appear. Yeah, most likely. So during the second half of the season, yeah, early 2019, as you say. I'm not even sure if it's early 2019. I don't know when the second half is going to be, because of course there's like a month or a month and a half in between seasons, and I think this season, or this first half, is going to end at the end of, or a mid-November or end of November, and so they'll have a month and a half break or somewhere there, or sometime like that. Yeah, early 2019 makes sense. Yeah. Epic Zombie Killer, I'm guessing same goes for Lydia. Yeah, absolutely. I think Lydia is introduced earlier, if I'm not wrong. But like I said, I will be refreshing my memory, going back to the source material, and doing my research first before I do that video. But definitely stay tuned for that video, because I will be taking a look at a few things in terms of timeline of the source material and the announcements on all of that in order to make that prediction. Ken the God Gaming, I'm mad that guy spoiled it, and he was right. Hope he never comes back. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm very disappointed. I hope people understand that not everyone wants to know spoilers, you know what I mean? So yeah, I absolutely feel the same way. I was mad, and it ruined the experience of the episodes for me, and I'm sure for all of the people that were on the chat when he spoiled it for us. Epic Zombie Killer, The Walking Dead always returns in February for the second half, I mean. Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. Alright, this was a pretty good live stream discussion. Definitely excited for the next episode to see what happens with Justin, or not Justin, but how they reveal, whether they reveal who killed Justin, and also how they build up the tension between the saviors and the survivors, and how that's going to end, and what's going to lead into episode 4. With that said, I do also want to say something. During the week of the 28th, October 28th, it's when the 4th episode is going to be released. So not next week, but the week after that. I will be away for a week, so I will not be able to do any videos in that week. I will probably not even be able to watch the episode until Thursday or Friday. So because of that, for that week, particular week, I will not be probably able to do any videos. The only videos I will be able to do are probably maybe the reaction and the breakdown, but those will be very, very late. They will be dropped probably Thursday or Friday even. And of course, we will have the live stream on the Friday as usual. But for that particular week, do expect the videos not to be released, and it doesn't really make sense for me to do them all at once when I return, because it's going to, or the episode is going to air like 2 days after, so it doesn't really make sense for me to do that. But I will try to do some of the videos for that week that I missed, but I probably most likely won't be able to do all of them. But I just wanted to give you all a heads up for that. And yeah, that's basically it. Let me see if there's any other comments in the chat. Epic Zombie Killer, but I am excited for these iconic whisperers to appear in the show. Same here, absolutely excited for them to show up. Epic Zombie Killer, bye Ash, have a great day, love ya. Thank you, I love you too. I appreciate all the support you guys have given the channel and continually give the channel. I really appreciate that. I love all of you, and without you guys, this channel will not be able to exist. It won't be this channel, you know what I mean? The channel won't be able to, or would not have been what it is today if it wasn't for the support of you guys. So I absolutely appreciate that. Last comment by Epic Zombie Killer, I'm hoping the Whisperers in the show get a stronger end because their end in the comics was weak. Yeah, I absolutely agree. It was underwhelming. I hope they change that and they remix it a little bit. I definitely agree with you there. But yeah, that's basically the end of this live stream. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.